Go inside the Crimson Tide with your hosts Rodney Orr and Gary Harris, keeping you informed on everything Alabama. And now, Tider Insider TV.
And good evening, everybody, and welcome in to this edition of Tider Insider TV, presented each and every week by Buffalo Rock. Alongside Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com, I'm WVOA 23 Sports Director Gary Harris. And tonight, we've got Ice Cold Pepsi, a Southern original from Buffalo Rock. That's really flavorful and refreshing. The next time you're at your local grocery store or convenience store, remember to pick up some great Pepsi products from Buffalo Rock. Well, Rodney, we hate to begin the show with bad news, but we have no choice because it's the big story. Alabama head coach Nick Saban confirming today that freshman linebacker Dylan Moses suffered a foot injury in practice on Monday. Coach Saban issued a short statement on Moses that read very simply, Dylan Moses injured his foot in practice on Monday. He will be out indefinitely. All right, Rodney, this is the seventh linebacker, if he's not able to play against Clemson in the Sugar Bowl, that will have missed games due to injuries. I've never seen anything like it. You've never seen anything like it. Yes, Alabama has a lot of depth, but it's been tested. And the bad thing here for number 18 is, as a true freshman, he was really just getting his legs under him. Yeah. He's really just kind of starting to play without having to think. You could see the athletic ability. And if he can't go, this is a setback.
Definitely another a setback. I mean, when you talk about a guy, like you said, was developing. Gary had a really nice game against Mercer. And having this opportunity to go through all these practices and the preparation for this game, you know, he was only getting better and growing more. So, again, you're talking about a depth issue as well. I mean, that's always been a concern. And hey, Mack Wilson was not 100% against Auburn. He was may have been close to it, but we know that he was certainly not 100%. You hope that he is, you know, as you head into this Clemson game, because they're going to really need Mack Wilson inside with Rashaan Evans, Keith Holcomb. And some people said, well, what about some of the younger guys? Well, we know Markel Benton is redshirting, but Vandarius Cowan was moved from the outside to work on the inside to learn that position late in the season. So, again, it's just an issue that, you know, this year that's where they are.
Yeah, it's so disappointing because they have a lot of depth, but it's tested all the time. Obviously, with Sean Deion Hamilton, you were hoping to have Moses, Matt Wilson, and Rashaan Evans, plus Keith Holcomb ready to go. It doesn't look like that'll be the case. But as you alluded to, Rodney, there is some good news at linebacker. Matt Wilson, Christian Miller, and Terrell Lewis all played against Auburn and really should be even much more of a factor against Clemson. Senior Rashaan Evans says that with all the defense has been through this season in regards to the injuries, it's awesome to get those guys back.
Those guys have, I feel like them being able to kind of get back healthy was very important. I feel like they've done a great job with the rehab and being able to do all those little things that they needed to do to get back to playing 100%, and I feel like they've done that. And even though they have been, you know, playing very well these past couple of practices, still going to just take it slow so that whenever they do play, man, they're going to play fast.
Against Auburn, they played, but Lewis and Miller specifically have been out the whole season. Yeah. They're going to be, as Rashad said, they're going to be playing much faster in the game against Clemson.
Yeah, you would certainly hope so. And we talked about that the week leading into the Auburn game, you know, how in shape football-wise were these guys. You know, when you miss that much time, it's difficult.
Yeah, it is. Well, when Nick Saban met with the media last Friday following practice number 1 for the Sugar Bowl, he said that University of Texas San Antonio defensive coordinator Pete Golding will be joining the Alabama staff as a defensive assistant. Here is Coach Saban with the announcement in this week's Coach Talk, presented by Tuscaloosa Tourism and Sports.
So I will tell you that we hired Pete Golding as an assistant coach. Technically, we're hiring him as a 10th coach, which we can do, but he can't be activated as a coach on the field until January the 9th. We'll address the other staff issues when we get finished playing. So we're not going to, I don't have time right now to do a search, get ready for this game, recruit, have an early signing date, and try to, you know, hire coaches too. There's just not enough time in the day. So when we get more information about staff issues, we'll certainly pass them along to you. But right now, we don't have any more information relative to that.
All right, Rod, tell me what you know about Pete Golding. I know he's young. He's early 30s. He played at Division II Delta State in the Gulf South Conference. But, boy, he started his coaching career right there at Delta State, and he has been on a fast upward track. And what he's did at UTSA, when you look at the stats when he got there as compared to this season, remarkable.
Yeah, I think he's been successful everywhere he's been. You know, again, a young coach, a lot of energy, and he's done extremely well as a defensive coordinator. When he got to UTSA, they were 101 overall in total defense in the country. After his first year, they were 55. This year, Gary, they're a top 7 defense.
That's amazing. Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the list of top defense, you see Alabama, you see Georgia, you see Michigan, you see Ohio State, you see the teams that you normally expect. Right there in the middle of them's UTSA.
Yeah,
Think about
he has
that.
done a remarkable job. Again, we don't know what his duties will be here at Alabama, but he will definitely be on the defensive staff for Nick Saban. All right, Rodney, practice preparation so far, as I mentioned, kicked it off Friday. Today's practice was the 4th practice. Clearly having to deal again with Dylan Moses going down. You've been to practice. You don't get to see a lot, but you know, what's the energy level been like? What have you seen from the team? What's your feeling on how they're practicing right now as they get back into just getting going?
Yeah, again, we are limited pretty significantly, but at the same time, you do talk to people as well. And you know, Gary, all the feedback you get, and also what you observe in the brief time that we get, which is sometimes 7 to 10 minutes, you can really tell that there's a lot of intensity. I think that if you look at it and kind of compare it, because we've got, you know, we can go back years where, I mean, this is the 4th year in a row they've gone to the playoffs and played another national championship game. So we kind of get that same feel. And I would say you get the same impression that you've gotten many of those years where it's just a really intense start to what they want to do to prepare.
Yeah, and one thing they do, when they first go back out there, they've been off for a few weeks, a lot of it is not so much working on Clemson as it is fundamentals, blocking, tackling, getting back into football shape. That's what these first several practices are used for.
And I think today was probably more starting to shift towards Clemson a little bit. I don't know that it was fully Clemson, but certainly they're getting on that track, Gary, because you know it's not going to be too long.
All right, Rod. Still to come on Tider Insider Television. Tomorrow kicks off the new early signing period for high school football seniors. We'll discuss it. I'm not a fan of it. And the Alabama men's basketball team will be in action tonight in Huntsville against Mercer. We'll have a preview. Plus, we'll be getting to your phone calls, emails, and tweets here shortly. You see the information there on your screen. The phone number is always 205-348-WVUA. That's 348-9882. Or you can email us at TITV@WVUA23.com. Or you can tweet at us using that hashtag TITV. And I'll be checking for those. Rodney and I both have our phones out here, so we'll check for your tweets as well. We'll be right back with more of the show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide, the one, the only Tider Insider TV. And welcome back, everybody, to TITV alongside Rodney Orr. I'm Gary Harris. The early signing period begins tomorrow. Not a fan of it. I'm like Nick Saban. I was against it. I told you from the get-go, but it is what it is. Guys are going to start signing tomorrow. What's this early signing period looking like for Alabama?
Well, you know, I think they'll sign in the neighborhood of 15, Gary, you know, give or take 2. You never really know. Some of these guys are planning on signing, then they're going to delay, and now they're going to sign again. So I'm not sure if some of them have their minds made up exactly what they want to do or going to do in this regard. I don't understand the early signing period. Like you said earlier, it's only, 6 weeks before the old National Signing Day, which is still there, which we'll still have that, but don't really understand it.
Yeah, it puts a lot of pressure on some of these guys that they have firm offers, but in the past, you know, they might have a little more time to get an offer from a bigger school. Now it's like, do you take the bird in the hand or do you wait and run the risk of getting left out in February? But it is tomorrow. It begins, and Alabama is going to be active in it, and the Crimson Tide is, as Nick Saban said, like it or not, we'll deal with it. And but there's a lot going on. Coaching changes all over the country, bowl games, playoffs, and now this early signing period. Right, let's talk some basketball. Alabama will play Mercer tonight at 8 p.m. in the Rocket City Classic at the Von Braun Center in Huntsville, and it could mark the return to game action of the leading returning scorer and rebounder from last season, 6'8" sophomore forward Braxton Key, who had surgery on his left meniscus prior to the start of practice and has missed all 10 games.
Whenever you have a guy coming off of an injury, it's not only about how he practices, how he gets through the practice, or, you know, the way he moves in practice, but it's the recovery. If there's no soreness, no setbacks, then it's full speed ahead. So we'll see how he looks today. You know, we got a little bit of a bus ride up to Huntsville tonight and another hard practice on tomorrow. And when he wakes up on Tuesday and get through shoot around, if he has no issues whatsoever, then we'll put him out there.
We'll find out tonight. 8 o'clock tip-off, and then Alabama plays Texas and Birmingham on Friday night. 2 wins there would put them at 9-3 heading into conference play. That would be pretty good. Boy, they got a challenging start to conference play with Texas A&M, top 10 team right off the bat. All right, don't touch that remote, because up next, we're welcoming your phone calls, emails, and tweets. Folks are already lining up for us to get through, and we'll take your calls. There's the email address as well, or you can just tweet at us. Make sure you use that hashtag TITV so we can find you. And we'll be back with your comments and questions right after this on Tider Insider Television. All right, welcome back in, everybody, to Tider Insider Television. I'm Gary Harris alongside Rodney Orr, and we are ready to take some phone calls. We do have a phone line down tonight, so be patient with us. It might be a little tougher than it normally is to get through. But our phone lines, as always, sponsored by Daniel Moore's New Life Art. If there's a great moment in Alabama football history, Daniel Moore has a painting of it. Perfect gift in time for Christmas. So let's go to our New Life Art hotline and welcome in our first caller, Rick from Bluff Park. Rick, you're on TITV. How are you, man?
Hey, fellas. Appreciate you taking my call. Merry Christmas to everybody.
You bet.
Hey, we've got 2 questions about the basketball team. No football questions tonight. That's in God's hands. But insofar as the basketball team goes, I want to know if Colin Sexton is a one and done, or what y'all think about that. And also, will that heroic loss to Minnesota figure in the selection committee's judgment when the time comes?
All right, first on Colin Sexton, Rick, yeah, in my opinion, he's a one and done. I just think that he is rated high enough that I think he's going to be a top 10 pick in the draft. And, Rodney, it's just common sense, good math, that if you're going to be a top 10 pick in the NBA draft, you're probably going to go after 1 year. That's my feeling right now.
I think that's a good feeling.
Yeah, I think NBA scouts view him as one of the top talents, and he's going to continue to improve throughout the season. So your hopes, Rick, is that he leads Alabama to a pretty good year and deep in the NCAA tournament. As far as the loss to Minnesota, where they played the final 10-plus minutes with 3 players, Sexton, Galen Smith, and Riley Norris, yes, I think the committee will take that into account. I think it was such a positive loss, and it got Alabama a lot of recognition, Rodney. A loss is a loss, but I do think that probably will look pretty good on Alabama's resume.
If nothing else, it was really incredible.
Yeah, Minnesota.
What a feat.
Yeah, it was number 14 at the time, so to take them down to the wire with just 3 players, pretty good. All right, let's go over to Gadsden and talk with James on line 2. James, good evening. How are you?
Hey, how you doing, guy?
Very well, man.
Hey, man, I just wanted to ask y'all, man, looking at all the injuries we don't had and how defense don't play, man, and looking at Clemson, man, and all these people around the country talking about Clemson, man, they're giving us a pretty slim chance, look like, to win this game. What do you guys think?
Well, I think Alabama always has a chance every time they kick it off, man. I just think that's part of being the #1 program in the country the last 9 or 10 years. Is Clemson good? Yes. Has Alabama had a lot of injuries? Yes. Is there probably more doubt associated with this Alabama team than some others that have gone into the postseason? Yes, but remember, all those Alabama teams didn't win it. 2 years ago, they lost to Ohio State or 3 years ago, they lost to Ohio State in the semifinals. Last year, they lost to Clemson. So maybe, just maybe, that doubt will fuel Alabama. And I remember in 2008 when Alabama was an underdog against Clemson, and nobody gave them much of a chance. And that's what ushered in the Dabo Swinney era, because Tommy Bowden took that licking, and they were never the same.
Well, I'll say this. Obviously, James, I don't think this Alabama team, when you look at it over the course of the season, is as dominant as the past teams that we've had here the last few years. And I'll say this, too. They really haven't played that well, to me, since probably Texas A&M and that point on. So you kind of understand why people are saying this. But at the same time, I don't think any of these other teams are dominant either. I mean, I don't think the competition's that dominant either. I don't think either one of these, Alabama or Clemson, are as good as Alabama-Clemson last year.
All right, Rodney, I'm with you. All right, we've got a couple of emails that have come in, a couple of tweets, and we're down a phone line. But right now, 205-34, pop the number up for me. My mind just went blank. 205-348. How does that happen? As many times as I said that. 9882. Sometimes it just happens. There's the email address. But phone lines are open right now. 205-348 WVUA. That's 348-9882. Go ahead and get those calls in. We'll take more calls and more emails. Plus, the Alabama women's basketball team hosting Missouri State this afternoon in a matinee game. We'll let you know if the Tide rolled That's coming up as well. So keep it tuned right here to WVUA 23. You don't see this every day. Patrick Murphy was on hand. We had a lunchtime basketball game today, 12 noon at Coleman Coliseum. The Alabama women hosting Missouri State. And Bama, wow, they had to outscore Missouri State 7-0 down the stretch to win the game 65-61. Ashley Williams led the way, 21 points and 9 rebounds. It was a big win, though. It gets Alabama to 8-3. A quick turnaround for the Tide. They will play Murray State tomorrow night at 7 p.m. in Coleman Coliseum. That game will air live on the SEC Network Plus. Welcome back, everybody, to Tider Insider TV. Let's go right back to our Daniel Moore New Life Art Hotline. And before we do that, though, we're going to take an email. We got an email coming to us from Gary and Helena. Do you think that Tua Tagovailoa will have a designated series against Clemson? Rodney, that's certainly a popular question, whether it's a series or a couple of series. We've seen him quite a bit, but usually in situations where the game wasn't on the line. Do you think there's a possibility with this added off time to prepare that we might see Tua Tagovailoa, say, in the first half against Clemson?
Well, I wouldn't think so. You know, again, I don't know. I'm just kind of going by Nick Saban's history. I mean, if it's a close game, which I think the game is going to be, you know, I don't see that. But I'm not saying he's not going to play. I don't know. You know, the circumstances could change where he had to play.
That's the thing we don't know. We'll find out. I will say this. A caller on my radio show this morning asked about it, Rodney, and said that as far as Jalen's concerned, maybe it's time for this game when you don't worry about appearances or recruiting, you know, maybe run more of the read option and maybe 2 backs and let him throw off of that to give him the best chance to be successful. Any thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I think certainly you have to give your team the best opportunity to win, whatever that is. I know David Pollack said the other day on the ESPN preview show something very similar, that they ought to run Hurts 20 times a game. But you know all the complaints about the running backs not carrying. But, you know, Gary, I do know that recruiting, certainly, you're recruiting some really good receivers like Jalen Waddle. Yeah. He's keeping an eye on what you're doing throwing the ball.
Of course, winning the game is the most important thing now at this point.
Right.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines, our New Life Art Hotline, and welcome in Martin from Tuscaloosa. Good evening, Martin. How are you?
I'm doing good. I had one question. We'll hang up and listen.
Okay.
Y'all got any word on progress of Ben Davis and Terrell Shavers, the 2 freshmen? I thought they would actually be playing in game changers by now.
All right, Ben. Martin, yeah, we got news on Ben Davis and Terrell Shavers. First of all, Ben Davis is a redshirt freshman. He did play some late in the season. Still got a good career in front of him. A lot of football left for him. Terrell Shavers, true freshman at wide receiver. They've got a lot of receivers. Made the decision to redshirt him. Certainly, he looks like he has a bright future as well, both these guys.
Well, I think Ben Davis, you know, you could see him. He started out inside linebacker, moved outside. I think he's a guy that maybe gains weight, becomes a pass rushing type, maybe defensive end player, possibly. And I think Terrell Shavers, when you look at him, he's going to give Alabama something maybe they don't have right now when you're looking to the future. A big physical
like 6'5",
receiver.
isn't he?
Yeah, big physical kid.
All right, let's go right back to the New Life Art Hotline from Daniel Moore. And welcome in our pal CB from Tuscaloosa. What's up, CB?
Not much. How y'all, man? I know this recruiting's done got crazy and all these rule changes and don't know what's going on. And you know, we've been blessed with the #1 recruiting class. Realistic, Rodney, ain't the top 10, 15, 20 got all great players. Where you think we might land, or do we know?
Well, you know, CB, I tell you, you remember they were ranked 64th about, what was that, in August? And all the fans were going nuts. And I said this class is going to come together late. Things have changed a little bit. So, you know, you're starting to see Alabama move up. They're now, what, 7, I think, in the overall composite rankings if you look at those things. And, you know, I think when they finish up, Gary, you're probably talking a top 5 class, maybe even higher. You know, we'll see how it all finishes up, but I do think possibly a top 5.
All right, thanks for the phone call. Sorry we couldn't get to the tweets and a couple of other emails. We roll those over, though, and if we can get to them next week, we'll do so. But thank you for participating. Still to come, Lane Kiffin has repeatedly said he loves living in Boca Raton. Well, it looks like he really means that. We'll have that story as we come back and wrap it up right after this. Well, Lane Kiffin has repeatedly said he loves living in Boca Raton. On Tuesday, that looked even more evident as Kiffin agreed to a contract extension with FAU that runs through 2027. In his first season, Kiffin led the Owls to the second 10-win season in school history and their first bowl appearance in 2008. They're playing tonight against Akron. Terry Bowden's old school. Now listen to this, Rodney. It is the Cherry Bundy Tart Cherry Boca Raton Bowl at FAU Stadium. Good news is they're in a bowl, and they're playing in Boca. Bad news is they didn't get to travel anywhere for it. They're playing right there at home. But after starting 1-3, the Owls finished the season with 9 straight wins. They defeated North Texas earlier this month in the Conference USA Championship game. It's a great turnaround. Before his arrival, the Owls had 3 consecutive 3-9 seasons. Quick thought on this, Rodney. I think Lane Kiffin looked around this year. Not a lot of people were trying to hire him. Plus, I think he likes it there, and they let him be who he is. They embrace his quirkiness and all his tweets. I think he's having fun.
Yeah, well, good. I hope it's a good fit for him.
Yeah, so far, so good. All right, that is going to wrap it up. But before we wind it down, a reminder that our beautiful shirts and ties are provided by the Locker Room in downtown Tuscaloosa, home of the original elephant wear. Go by and see Alex and Rush and the staff in person downtown, or shop online at their website, locker-room.biz, for original elephant wear or any of their other great men's and ladies' clothing. Boy, they'll make you feel good and look good. It's an outstanding place to shop just in time for Christmas. A few more days to get your holiday shopping in. All right, thank you for tuning in. Feel free and join us tonight at our hotspot, Buddy's Rib and Steak. We're headed there to Northport in about 15 minutes. Come by, talk some football with us. That's our Tider Insider hotspot for tonight, Buddy's Rib and Steak in Northport. We'll be there eating and talking some football. And don't forget, if you missed any of tonight's show, you can catch a replay tonight at 10:30 after the news at 10, or we'll get it up and you can watch it online at WVUA23.com. So for Rodney Orr and for regular producer Brandon Kimmerman, who's not here tonight, there is a good reason. Rodney, let me look on my phone. I wish I could show you this picture. But beautiful, his beautiful baby girl, Adeline Rose Cameraman, was born this afternoon. We'll have some pictures of her for you tonight on the news at 10. Congratulations to Brandon and his family. She is beautiful. So for Rodney Orr, I'm Gary Harris. Thanks for watching Tider Insider TV. Have a great evening, everybody.